So, by all accounts, the Oklahoma Sooners are not done in the transfer portal because, based on what we're hearing, they are still interested in at least two running backs that have just hit the portal officially this week. One of them has been rumored to be in the portal for quite some time. Those rumors were absolutely true. The other one just hitting the portal this week. One of them being LSU running back Trey Bradford, the other being Alabama running back Keelan Robinson. Both have been talked about in connection to the Oklahoma Sooners as a possible transfer destination, and we've got to break this down because this has major implications for the Sooners, for the Big 12s, and possibly for the playoffs. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from y'all. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe that the Oklahoma Sooners will land either Trey Bradford or Keelan Robinson? And let me know what you're thinking there. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification, because I do constant college football content, and you don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoy that content, be sure to like, comment down below. Those interactions are massive for content creators such as myself. But with all of that being said, let's unpack this, because the Oklahoma Sooners are a team that we've talked about that up until Georgia's move the other day have absolutely won the transfer portal. And now there's a legitimate argument to be had as to who's won it, Georgia or Oklahoma. Georgia able to add in two 5-star guys in one day. One of them, Eric Gilbert, the highest rated tight end in recent recruiting rankings, and then Darion Kendrick. So the Georgia Bulldogs have made some great moves, but still, when you look at what Oklahoma has done, my goodness, from offensive line to defensive back to running back, and then hearing that they're not done, the Oklahoma Sooners have been incredibly cognizant about what they want to get better on their team and how they want to use the transfer portal in order to achieve that right there. But let's talk about this situation in particular with these two running backs, because the Oklahoma Sooners are already in a situation where they have two very talented running backs, and there was a incident a few weeks ago, unfortunately, to where they lost another very talented running back. Being able to get in a Trey Bradford or a Keelan Robinson would give them more depth at a position. And I know what you're already thinking, but isn't Kennedy Brooks and Eric Gray already looking to be bell cows within this system? Aren't they good enough to do it? Yes, there's no question that both Kennedy Brooks and Eric Gray are easily good enough to get it done. But running back is one of those positions where you don't argue with running back depth, particularly quality running back depth. And this is a situation where even though both of these guys are transfer players, make no mistake, these guys have starting ability at a lot of other institutions across the nation. In fact, last night, Josh Pate tweeted that Keelan Robinson, he believes, could start, and I might fudge up the numbers, but I think he said between 85 and 90% of college programs in the nation, he'd be a starting back, or at least a part of the two-deep rotation, and I completely agree with that. And the same can be said about Trey Bradford. Both of these guys have home run hitting ability out of the speed category, and that's something Lincoln would love to utilize within this offense. We've heard Eric Gray being talked about with his versatility, but I think it's very important to note that both of these backs right here, both Bradford and Robinson, have streakiness of incredible versatility to them. And particularly when we talk about Keelan Robinson, we need to understand what it is the Nick Saban staff loved about this kid so much, what separated him. We've heard about the home run hitting ability Robinson has. As a Tide fan, I can attest to this. In fact, he's best known for the long runs he broke off and his limited attempts that he got. He made the most out of all of them. Then he opted out of last season due to health concerns, and we absolutely understand and respect that. And going into this spring, he was actually being worked out not only as running back, but in that slot wide receiver position, that wide receiver H. And the reason is because the Crimson Tide were trying to maximize the amount of speed they could have on the field at one time. They have got a lot of speed on that team, but not a lot of speed with experience. Keelan Robinson offered them that experience, and he is good enough to fill in that role. He does have that ability. So if you're Lincoln Riley, if you are DeMarco Murray and you hear that you have a kid like a Keelan Robinson, and DeMarco Murray in particular has been preaching versatility, and you hear that Keelan Robinson has been working out at a slot position, and now you know, oh, well, we can use this kid however we want, That's enticing. Now, I'm not saying Trey Bradford can't be used the same. He has an incredibly deep skill set. And in fact, Trey Bradford was a top 100 recruit in the nation when he was coming out of high school. Trey Bradford has a bit better size. I say a bit. He has better size than Keelan Robinson. Keelan Robinson is a very well-built back, but he's 5'9". Very compact, though. Has put on a lot of muscle in the offseason, and then last year, he just spent the time working out, and it reaped results, right? Like, if you saw those posts he had put up, he put on a good amount of muscle, and he looks ready to carry a load. But Trey Bradford is naturally a bigger kid, and there's not a large difference in speed between either of them. In fact, I think they're probably right around the same speed. I think Bradford probably has a bit more power to him, where Robinson probably has a bit more dash ability to him, if you get what I'm saying. And it's going to be very interesting because though the Oklahoma Sooners have been in connection to both of them, the Sooners are also looking at this situation really liking who they're recruiting. However, this is the mindset I have. If you have the ability to get a talented player, a player that you evaluated, that you really liked, and it is important to note that OU had a relationship with Trey Bradford before he ultimately went to LSU. And Trey Bradford would actually be a double up for OU because he has a very close relationship to current Duncanville 5-star Amari Abor. For Oklahoma to be able to get in Trey Bradford, and the Trey Bradford Oklahoma rumors are ones that we've been hearing for much longer, if they were able to get in Trey Bradford, that could help their position with Amari Abor. Now, Abor's process still has a long way to go. He is a really interesting kid to listen to, talk, very thoughtful, going to be an awesome addition for whoever he goes to. That kid right there is going to be a difference maker, someone we're going to be keeping up with, but you couldn't argue with a better chance at landing him if you're Oklahoma. And he's already talked about being a fan of the program. If you're in a position where you're already looking in the transfer portal at a running back, and there's one that happens to have a closer relationship to one of your top prospects in the next class, it might be hard not to go with Trey Bradford in that situation because I've heard chatter that maybe Oklahoma could take both of them. I don't think that's likely at all. I don't think Oklahoma would do that because I think Oklahoma is in a situation where they lose McGowan and they understand that we can bring in another running back to supplement that loss, but we really like where we are moving forward. You have Sawchuk loving the Sooners, and then Raleek Brown, who y'all know how I feel about Raleek Brown. I think that kid right there is going to be a special talent to behold when he gets to the Big 12, specifically with Lincoln Riley. That's going to be electric, must-see TV. I've been having that position since he formally committed to the Sooners and has been talking about that whole process. Y'all know how I feel about Raleek Brown. So I don't think it's likely they get both. But if you're a Sooners fan, if you get either of these guys, they each offer something that I think the Sooners could run with, right? You get Robinson, I think he has the versatility to be able to add to a Eric Gray. And specifically, you could do some split back formations with Robinson and his ability to be utilized out the backfield, in the backfield, and in a receiving ability are going to give defenses fits. Now take that ability and mix that with Lincoln Riley. You see where this can become problematic, especially when you have a Mario Williams on the outside, a Jaden Hazelwood on the outside, a Theo Weiss on the outside, and then an Eric Gray and a Kennedy Brooks in the backfield with him, plus Spencer Rattler. That right there is a lot of versatility added into this Oklahoma offense. On the flip side, Trey Bradford is not far behind in the versatility output. In fact, he's probably right there in the speed and offers some bigger size. Both of these guys, former top 300 recruits in their respective classes. Bradford, a former top 100 guy in his class. Bradford hailing from Texas, Keelan Robinson from the DC area, which OU has recruited phenomenally well, that DC area. I really want to hear from you. Who would you like for the Sooners to get? Because both of these guys are exceptionally talented, and I don't think any institution in the nation argues with either of these guys. I think actually, if you're in a position where your institution is looking at a transfer running back, if you didn't get to choose and you were told we're giving you either Bradford or Keelan Robinson, I think you sit there smiling from ear to ear because you know either situation you're getting a really, really talented running back with time still left in college with a whole lot to offer. This is a situation we are going to have to follow closely. A lot of people have been following the Bradford situation very closely, doing a phenomenal job covering it, and now that it's all out in the open, we're going to be talking about this and keeping an eye on this. I want to hear from y'all. Let me know what you're thinking, and that's it. See ya.